line, color, space, texture, form, and shape. We can formulate its analogy with just like baking a cake, and these are ingredients. For instance, sugar and other components that are used in any cake baking. So these are just like ingredients that you should know that are going to be added in the cake. So these tools will definitely help us. So let's start by exploring one by one. Line is the first element of design, or you can say the first ingredient. It is having around about four types. The first one is the vertical line. The second one is the horizontal line. Then there are diagonal and curved lines. Each line communicates with a different meaning. For instance, vertical lines really communicate dignity, and they are mostly used in cathedrals, churches, mosques, or any sort of religious buildings where we want to show some respect and reverence. At the same time, we want to show some formality, strength, and dignities associated with the vertical line. Mostly, a walking being could be shown with the vertical line, while a dead man is shown with the horizontal line. So, horizontal line simply shows a rest or a calm in the building, while diagonal lines are associated with some activity, movement, excitement. That is the building concept or the function of the building or objective of making that building is associated with some sort of activity like a gymnasium, or it could be a kindergarten. So diagonal lines mostly used for the buildings where we want to show some action and activity, while curvilinear lines help to give the architect the freedom of thought, the freedom of designing, instead of just designing basic shapes and forms in the building. Curvilinear lines are designed which are having no any sharp corners or edges. These are a few of the examples which are using the vertical lines. The first building is Empire State Building, where you can see this tower-like feature out there. Here it's a tower-like, a spire-like component, and the form of the building, the width of the building is actually indicating that it's higher and it's approaching to the sky. This means that the building is provided, it's a multi-storied building designed by Lamb and Harbor Century, the architects. So it shows that the building having approaches to the sky, having some dignity, some verticality in it. Similarly, this is the gate design in Berlin, Germany. Again, vertical components are more prominent, while there is only one horizontal component rested over it. Again, skyscraper buildings, multi-story buildings usually use vertical lines. The reason is that they wanted to show that buildings are approaching to the sky or approaching to the heavens. So let's briefly discuss that this building in the New York is an international landmark, and it's designed in a specific architectural style, that is Art Deco, and its basic requirement is that it represents some sort of formality, stability, and strength. Then use of horizontal line. Both buildings are designed by the same architect, Frank Lloyd Wright. He is the pioneer of designing modern buildings. Modern buildings really includes use of glass, steel, white color, and reinforced concrete, column beam structures. So these buildings here, you can see that the overall face of the building is more prominent with the help of horizontal lines, and it gives a sense of relaxation. White color is also one of the indicator of a calmness. Then use of diagonal lines in the interiors and as well as the exteriors. Diagonal lines are usually associated with the activity. The first image here shows us the sense of movement. Sense of movement. This diagonal bridge is actually the used for the transportation mode, and transportation is always or move is associated with the movement transiting you from one place to another. For the reason of its function, this specific building they used diagonal lines for this. In the next building, the bridge is known as Octavio Price de Oliveira Bridge in Brazil. It's supported by suspension cables constructed in 2008. It's a first single concrete material bridge. And then in the interior, this type of diagonal buildings also to help to light up the interiors more with the sunlight. 45-degree angle or diagonal lines at the roofing level of the building allows helps you to used in mostly in colder areas where you want to sunlight come in. Also, with reference to its interior space, it breaks the simple cubicle structures or rectangular rooms. Then, there are steps involved in this ziggurat-like building. Ziggurats are one of the we can say religious buildings. It's just imitating them, and steps and ramps are involved again with the help of diagonal lines that helps to create some sort of activity within the building. Free flowing curves. This type of lines are used in the roof of this apartment building. The roof structure of Sydney Opera House. The second building is the Sydney Opera House. And the first building is the apartment building associated with this. In the background, you will see a steel bridge. This bridge is designed by the Danish architect John Ozon in international competition, and he decided to use a design based on different sections and spheres. As just to complement with this design, we can see these that the background part is also a bit curvilinear, and here you don't find any regular shapes or conventional shapes that are used in buildings in the form of rectangles, squares, or pure geometrical forms. Okay, the next element we are going to discuss is color. Color has a very immediate and profound effect on any design, and it takes your intention uh, very soon. So, the first image is about a residential housing society where a few houses, just to break the monotony, are colored with the specific prominent color just to create some focus, just to break the monotony. While the second building, it's very important. We will see it in our next principles as well. It's the Saint Basil Cathedral, designed on a specific concept of flame of a bonfire, and you can see very bright colors are used in this building just to give you the feeling of happiness, sense of excitement, and festivity. with that, there is a specific shape, onion shaped domes are used in this building with variation in size. Then the first building we see having some warm colors, while its background is with some neutral colors like gray color. If we remove this red element from the face of that building, the building will become a typical monotonous building with only neutral colors, and you are not emphasize on specific features. While in the second image, the interior color is given a green color. This green color is actually adding some sort of focus, excitement, and it improves your internal environment of working. While if it's a typical white color room, then it will definitely appear like just an ordinary room. So with the addition of colors, you can make buildings attractive, aesthetically more pleasing, and more convenient for users. Similarly, you can choose the color of your rooms according to the environment. For instance, if we talk about the color scheme, which one is you find it more suitable for living room, comparatively an active room? On the other hand, which one you find more like the bedroom, comparatively your restroom, less activity level? Then which room or which color will be more suitable for the gymnasium area or a play area, the area where you require some sort of energy or activity level? So the choice of color will very helpful in maintaining the mood. For areas where temperature is cooler, warm colors are preferable, dark colors are preferable, and areas where cool colors are preferable where the temperature of outside is hotter, just to balance the composition. The next element we are going to discuss is form and shape. Form is actually the 3D shape, 3D structure, or 3D form, just like and square is on the other hand two-dimensional. Mostly height is not present in the shape, and we can simply describe that square is a shape while cube is a form, circle is a shape while cylinder is a form, or cone is a form. So, form can also described as composition of geometric shapes in 3D version with the with the length, width, and height, while shape only is just containing an area without the height. These are two examples. The first one is Oriental Pearl Tower, and the second one is the Mary Elizabeth Luders House in Berlin, Germany. The first one is designed by the architect Jian Huancheng. It's designed on a inspiration from a specific musical instrument. It's a TV television building, and you can see that spheres are very visible in this building. There are a number of spheres in this building, and a large cylinder is visible. While in the second building, you can see a circle. It's not. It's a shape of a circle out there. It's not a sphere or proper circle out there. So in the second one, we are using the shape to give the shape to the building. While in the first one, we are using the form. Let's further discuss about Oriental Pearl Tower. This television tower is erected in Shanghai, China, and it has 15 observatory levels, 11 of which are in the form of sphere. Their sizes are variable. Their diameters are greater than 165, less than 165 feet, and some of their diameters are less than 145 feet. It's the design is based on the Pipa point, and it's an instrument uh, which shows some pearls falling from the building in small and big forms. The next element we are going to discuss is about space. By incorporating the use of space in your design, you can enlarge or you can reduce the visual space. Let's discuss about the open space, or you can say uncluttered space. Open spaces are if we just create 4 revolves around this pathway, the space will be cluttered, cramped, and will be narrow and dark. While when one side is open with the help of columns, some light, green vegetation is coming to this pathway, it opens up your view. Just like in our rooms, large windows are created to have some exterior view. While on the other hand, there are cramped spaces. Cramped spaces are actually over-occupied spaces. Similarly, this is also one of the view of beautiful vegetation from the exterior. This is one of the example of cramped spaces. Cramped spaces, just like in the restaurants, there is a very minimum distance between two diagonally or even the wall side desks. So these are busy spaces with number of people populated well, and they are just cramped up. So you don't have any exterior view when you are sitting in the middle aisle. So some spaces are unused, and some spaces, each and every corner is well used. Now let's move towards the texture, the surface look or feel of something. Some materials used on the surface of the buildings are smoother, while others are rough. Rough surfaces are mostly darker because they absorb light, while smooth surfaces because they reflect light, so they appear more lighter, more intense in color. These are two examples of small smooth textures. The first one is representing the glass area, blue color glass, high facade of an office building. And the second one is a metal facade in Disney Concert Hall. It's again metal, smooth surface, so it's again reflecting surface. Then this is one of the Park Güell designed by the architect Antonio Gaudi. Gaudi has designed these columns at specific inclination just to make the space more mysterious. And to add its mysteriousness, the surfaces are left with some rough texture in the column. So the original material is a bit exposed. The next feature is about value. Whenever we talk about color, there is always sometimes lightness, sometimes darkness. So there is a difference between a shade and a tint. Whenever you add black color to any color, you will get a shade. But whenever you add white color to any color, you get a tint. Usually, shade is the degree of darkness, while okay, please keep writing your registration numbers in the chat box for the sake of attendance. And next, the tint is the pale color or faint variation of color. When you need lighter colors, then you use white shade, white color tints, and when you need make anything dark, you need to add black color. Here we have one example from Bangalore, India. It's a downtown building. Shades of similar color. All colors used in the buildings are mostly blues, beige, and white. So mostly some colors are darker and other are lighter tints. Now let's commence with the principles part. So previously we were discussing about the ingredients that what we need to add to make a what we need to make something if we want to bake a cake. What are the ingredients? All-purpose flour, sugar, oil, eggs. These are some of the features. So these are the ingredients. But how much ingredient you want to add and in which form you are going to cook actually. That is the feature that we need to understand about the principles that are going to help us. They are used for occupational areas. You can make the analogy that principles of design are similar to how to combine and utilize your baking agent. You want to blend it, you want to whip it, you want to fry it, you want to bake it or boil it. roast it, whatever the type you are using. And it's not necessary that you need to add all principles at a time. You just need to add a few. You can add few principles, you can add two, you can add three, depending upon the requirement and depending upon the concept and aesthetic sense. You can variate their composition, you can change their usage according to that. Up till now, if anyone having any questions, I will allow you to ask. You can unmute yourself and if anyone having any question can ask. Any questions from the previous lecture and any question right now? One by one, please unmute yourself. Okay, roll number 74, unmute yourself. Roll number 65, do you have any query? 102, 89, 90. I have allowed you to unmute yourself so that you can ask your questions in this last 8 minute session while you have to rejoin after around about 8 minutes. So meanwhile, if you have any queries, you can ask the topics we have covered up till the previous week lecture as well as the today's lecture. Uzair, please unmute your mic.
Yes, ma'am.
उजैर कोई क्वेश्चन है?
मैम इसमें मैंने ये पूछना था कि एक लाइन टाइप हमें सेंसेशन की फीलिंग किस तरह देती है, लाइक हॉरिजॉन्टल फार पीस और इस तरह से, मतलब उससे हमें मतलब किस तरह से ऐसा फील होगा?
उजैर, कैन यू रिपीट प्लीज?
मैम मैं कह रहा हूँ कि
रिपीट कर सकते क्वेश्चन?
मैम एक लाइन की जो टाइप है वो हमें सेंसेशनल फीलिंग्स किस तरह दे सकती है, जिस तरह मतलब हॉरिजॉन्टल लाइन जो है वो फार पीस या इस तरह से और भी डिफरेंट जो है वो उधर लिखा हुआ था.
अच्छा, Uzair, question according to your question, it's that one line can how give you the feeling of calmness, verticality when we combine them in buildings. Usually, it's not single line; it's number of lines, repetition of lines. They are making one pattern. And when we discuss about principles of design, I will show you some examples of diagonal lines combining in the building. Then we will see some further examples in the second half of the lecture. That these lines they are not always single or alone. They are combined with other parameters. Sometimes we use more than one element, just like we use more than one ingredients to make a dish. Similarly, when we combine some more than one principle, one principle could be unity, other principle could be rhythm or movement. Diagonal lines also give the feeling of movement. You just need to look on that image and you will see that in common buildings you will find the verticals and horizontals. So once you see a diagonal or a free flowing curve, your eyes will be automatically attracted to them. Previously, you will see in the previous lecture, you have just seen the images. But today we are seeing their application on the architectural buildings, that how these principles will going to combine with one another and are going to formulate a new concept, and they're going to give the feelings within the building. You just need to understand the vocabulary. And one of the common analogy I have given regarding the diagonal line and vertical line was about a human being. Really, a live human being is keep on walking, keep on moving. So vertical lines or diagonal lines show their activeness. While when a human being is dead body, he is in a horizontal phase. So this is one of the reason behind this psychology, that it's interpreted in this way in the buildings as well, because all buildings are designed for humans. So this and foremost feature is to combine them with the human psychology parameters. Anyone else? अगर किसी का कोई और किसी का question है तो you can ask. Please don't forget to write your registration number in the chat box, and we will just start after 5 minutes the next topic. Meanwhile, don't forget to write down your Rakib, Joe's roll number 74. Yes, the slides I have sent are the first half, and this is the second half of those slides. Because I think we need to discuss more about architectural part. So I have decided for the live lecture for these slides. I will share the recording of the lecture, as well as I will provide you with the guidelines for assignment. Regarding assignment, you need to make a cover page. Cover page is the title page, the first slide, the way I have included in these slides. You can look at that. Then you can make your own design and take its picture and add it to the PowerPoint presentation, or you can download images from the internet. But don't forget to copy its website or link. And just like in these slides, you will see the last slide. If I can move to the last slide. Okay, these are some of the references. I have copied this image from the specifically these slides. So you can just copy that link from the internet, but the explanation, you are not supposed to copy the explanation. You are just supposed to copy the links, and you explain it in your own words to avoid any plagiarism. But yes, you can take the image from the uh, website. Any other question? If everyone is done with their attendance, I am just saving it, and you're supposed to now re-enter to the class with the same link. This session about principles of design, and how these could be used in any building. So let's commence with the principle balance. These are actually parts of design we consider are equally distributed to create a sense of stability. Both sometimes physically as well as visual balance is very important. Now let's discuss one by one about the types of balance. There are five types of balance. The first one is the formal or symmetrical balance, in which left hand side is mostly equal to the right hand side. Here we can see when we divide it from the central axis, the left hand side is just a replica of the right hand side. Uh, then let's discuss about the asymmetrical balance. Asymmetrical balance is more about the visual balance. It's not that the shapes and forms are equally similar and equal. There is a possibility that we have two different shapes, but almost of equal size, and due to their similar size, even different shapes will seems to be equally visually, we can say they appear more balanced. Here in this example, you can see that this square and this sphere, apparently just because of although both shapes are different, but due to the similar character, that is same size, they are appealing you as visually balanced, or visually more appropriate, or visually you can find them more interesting. Similarly, in the building that is Chateau de Chaumont in France, you can see when I am just dividing this building from the center half, this particular element in the right hand side, there are three elements with this pitched roof, while on the left hand side, the similar element is repeated here. Once it's repeated, it's actually this repetition is also giving some sense of unity between two, and the same element is repeated here. That's why it's creating some sort of visual balance in this arrangement. The next example is about radial balance. In radial balance, mostly the design is focusing on the central part, and all the radiations originated from this one is actually this way. They are originating from one significant part. So you are focusing on the center. It's the interior ceiling view. This glass dome is radiating. This is the ceiling of Galleria Vitro MNLA2 in Italy by architect Mangoni. While in the first image by Dresden Frankel, we can see that it's an octagonal and trapped within the circle. So it's just like a circumcircle that is around this octagonal it's arranged, and all these features are, all these rays, or we can say all these are originating from this octagonal edges. So again, this is also one of the way to create radial balance. The next feature is about creating vertical balance. Vertical balance could be created by adding some heighted components like minarets, mostly on the parapet level, like domes. Here in this image, vertical balance is created through its reflection. So whenever we find a water feature nearby any architectural feature, its reflection is very important, and it plays a very important role in balancing the compositions. Here, this component is known as kiosk. All the corners are provided with a similar element, and they are a bit highlighted because corners actually give you focus, and this reflection is adding to its verticality of this building further more. So the top and bottom parts are equal, and this is actually adding an equal amount of height to this building, which it's actually having. Okay, here we have some example of horizontal balance. The first one is the building facade Limburg in Germany, and here the horizontal component is more prominent, more dominant in the design. Just like here. Similarly, this type of roof is actually not only it's repeated, giving the sense of unity to the design, also it's more horizontal, and it's a Buddhist temple in Hong Kong. Its left and right hand sides are also equally balanced in both composition, since we mark from the central axis. So it's a good example of horizontal balance within the building. Then if we talk about this particular building, this building is providing both vertical and horizontal balance. The left hand side and right hand side components are similar to one another, while at the corners we can see that this element is repeated on both edges. This is one of the exceptional. This is the Haus Castle Saint-Simon by architect Julia Morgan. So let's briefly discuss about this Bangalore design. It's designed by the Julia Morgan, who was trained as a civil engineer, and then she decided that this particular building was initially a Bangalore, but some external activities are being added to this building to avoid any tent-like structure around the Bangalore, camping structures, number of pools, bedrooms, sitting areas, outdoor pools, and even a zoo is added to this building just to make it more multi-purpose. Then this is again one of the example of this plan of Saint Basil's Cathedral. The example we have studied in the colors part. It's the plan of that cathedral. And if we see its central part, this is the example of radial balance. Um, while if we talk about the overall composition, then we can see the horizontal and vertical features are equally balanced, and it also a very balanced composition in form of shapes. The third dimensional is missing here. Moving towards the next principle of design, that is rhythm or repetition. We sometimes call it the synonym or similar term. It could be regular, graduated, or it could be of different types. In the first image, it's a tiled pattern of a floor where we can see the use of a diagonal lines that create a sense of rhythm as well as movement. If we see in the second image, it's a apartment building, sorry, it's an hotel building, and its balconies are arranged in a free flowing curves that will create a feeling of movement in the facade of the building. So this is how we accommodate diagonal and free flowing curves that will create some sense of not only the similar element is repeated, but also the similar element is creating the sense of movement here as well, or a rhythmic appearance. Then it's a repetition of the regular element. Similar element is repeated with same color. It's shown here that the same element is just growing larger, but with a regular repetition, its elevation is achieved with more interest. If it's just a single element with this type of roots, it will be just a typical design. Then random rhythm. Its example is again Saint Basil Cathedral, which we have its plan we have discussed previously. Its color combination, random repetition could be very clearly shown here. These are the onion domes. All of three are of different colors and of different size as well. But because the similar element, onion dome, is repeated here, this will create some sense of unity in this cathedral. Otherwise, there is this variation of size in all three domes, and there is simple similar colors used here. Then gradated rhythm, similar rectangular shape is just moving just like a graph, and the part which needs some focus and extra rectangular feature is added at its back. Here you can see that rest of the all features are similar in design, even this part, the greater one. But to emphasize it for just for functional needs, some elements are added to its background, keeping in view these aesthetics and the gradated rhythm is keeping in mind. And similarly, this detail is added just to add to the height of this building and do not disturb any sort of graduation in the increase of the height of this building. The next two examples, the first one is the stack of rocks. The size is reducing at the top. It's a landscaping element. While the second one is the Chinese tower in English Garden, Munich, Germany, where again the top part having a bit different top, but the rest of them are unified together and are again repeating. Then the next principle is very easy to understand, that is focus, emphasis. In the first image, the blue color with neutral colors base, you can see that rest of the colors are neutral beige, while this yellow color, this blue color ceiling patch added here, this color added here, it's a different color and it's attracting the user due to the neutral colors around. It's a ceiling of a par gray mosaic. The second one is the mosque in the Egypt, where the color of the minaret, the size of the minaret, uh, the overall composition and shape of the minaret is different. So it creates some focus in the design. Then this is one of the garden image in which all trees are aligned in a way that they are focusing towards this particular building. It's located centrally. Its the color is a bit unique, so that the orientation of your eye will be focused towards this central part. We can see that all trees are aligned in this way. Green color is throughout is this way, that they are intentionally or indirectly they are orienting towards this building. This is the reason that this particular building is highlighted here, and its shape and form is different from the rest of the uh, elements in its vicinity. So, in the first feature, we were discussing that what are the features that actually draws your attention. It might be the size, just like in the, or it might be the color, just like in the first image we have seen the mosaic pattern in the ceiling with blue color. It could be the large tower which is in the mosque at Egypt with different color, shape, and its huge size comparison to the other buildings, and just like the Bhai Gardens in the Haifa, Palestine. The last image, the domed building we have seen, which is emphasized with the help of looks in the central position, and trees are aligned in a way that they are focusing towards that particular building. Then in the next thing is scale and proportion. Scale and proportion are two relative features. For example, the size of a bedroom for human being is definitely different from the size of a cage of an elephant. According to the size of the user, you have to design the proportionate area for where he has to live in. So this is one of the monument in Washington D.C. It's also known as Lincoln Memorial. It's designed on the concept of some traditional building, and the column around it, its inspiration is taken from the ancient Egyptian architecture. It is known as obelisk, and its height is around about 550 feet. It's too high, it's simple column, and why they appears to be proportionate to one another. The reason is that the ratio used in this design is 3 ratio 5, 1.167. It is also known as golden mean ratio or divine ratio, and in all masterpiece buildings, once this ratio is used, the building seems to you or appears to be you more aesthetically pleasing or more attractive. The reason is that this ratio is found in nature, just like in the composition of flowers, even the composition of sunflowers, in the organization of petals, this divine ratio is found. And this is the reason whenever it is implemented to architectural buildings, this divine ratio will result in a masterpiece building. One of the simplest way to get the idea that how this ratio works is that if I have a larger piece of rectangle and all the rectangles, or we can say the subcomponents of this rectangle, will have the similar ratio 3 ratio 1. That is the reason they appears to us aesthetically more pleasing, because the same ratio is used by the nature in many objects, even the snail, sea animals, and even in the flowers. So even in the Taj Mahal, the similar ratio is practiced. Even in the Greek temples, this ratio is practiced. So this is one of the reason that whenever this ratio is used, it means it's a success. It's one of the guarantee for a success, we can say. Here we have a sense of movement in these buildings, use of diagonal lines, use of free flowing curves, and this is a use of steps that raising it highly. So introduction of steps also give you some sort of feeling of movement in any design. Otherwise, in vertical and horizontal line buildings, you will find them very static. Again, once we remove this red color, its contrast. If we remove this first part from this building, the rest of the building, the user by will not be attracted by it, just because of this color, this element, this building is appealing. Its scale, its proportion, its shape, it's creating a contrast to the rest of the building, which is a very simple neutral gray color building. Similarly, this glass lower pyramid. In the background, we have a traditional building, and this is just a modern steel, iron, glass triangle placed here, which is a totally contradiction, we can say, in design, and which is a source of attraction for the user. Unity is a very important component. It could be created by repetition of color, repetition of similar element like vertical elements, columns, mirrors, window style, or just with the help of you, just like the orange color repeated here and white color repeated here. Similarly, here we can see the repetition of window style, color of the building, the top pitched roof style is repeated. So, unity and harmony both are synonym for one another, and they are achieved mostly with the help of repetition. This is also one of the example. Here, the roof style is repeated in different sizes. Here, the dome with different sizes and colors, but the same shape of the dome is repeated, so it creates a sense of unity. Taj Mahal, we can see the repetition of minarets, repetition of arches, repetition of kiosks, and the dome style. They are repeated. One, two, three, four, five, six kiosks are present currently. So the repetition will also one of the very common feature that adds to the unity in any building. So what elements unify different designs? In the first image, we have seen the curved roofs in the Chinese building. Then we see multiple colors and consistent use of onion domes and arches that create sense of unity. Then in Taj Mahal, we have seen the use of color that is a white color. Then similar shapes and forms are used in the entire site, and the pathway which is leading towards the mausoleum is also one of the reasons that it is creating some focus to this building. Okay, these are some references, the way you are supposed to add in your assignment. If you have taken any image from the internet, just copy the website link and just add the last slide as references and copy paste them there along with the date you retrieved that particular site. And the cover page example, the first slide is the example of the cover page. In your assignment, the explanation you give should not be copy paste. So this is one of the example of cover page I have designed in the previous class in presence of some students on spot. You can improve it a far way. You can add some sketchy images. You can give just an idea that how your assignment will look like, and also provide all the necessary information on the cover page, your registration number, assignment number, title of the subject, or the details you provide here with your name. So cover page should be well designed. Okay, any other question? I will allow you to unmute yourself now and you can ask any questions if you have about the lecture. So please participants one by one, you can ask now. Sizes as well. But in balance, mostly we take formal balance that it's not necessary that you are using the similar elements. You can even use different elements as well. Meanwhile, I can share one video with you as well. It's just a repetition of elements and principles of design. You can keep on writing your queries or unmute yourself and directly ask the question. Summary regarding the principles of design. I hope so. This is just a summary of the principles and to clear your concept, I will share all the data with your CR by the end of the day today. If you have any queries, you can ask your questions. We are left with 7 minutes in this meeting. Okay, anyone who forgot to write his registration number can write here for attendance.